Welcome to another episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Oscar Gonzalez. I'm the founder of Scale My Social. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about not scaling our ads fast enough. This is a huge problem that I see agents out there have all the time, and it causes them to eventually have to turn off their campaigns. So this is kind of what happens, and I'm going to break down, one, the psychology of it, two, the expectations that agents have that's completely incorrect, and three, the result of not scaling an ad fast enough, okay? If you haven't done so, guys, go ahead and give the channel a follow, share this content if you guys find it educational or can help you in any way. Make sure you tell other people about it. Thank you everybody that's tuned in and has watched and follows us on social media. So let's get into it. So when we don't scale our ads quick enough, the first thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna start the ad, the campaign starts, and number one, you need to have a budget obviously going into your ad. So we need to understand how much money do I actually have to allocate to lead generation or to advertise to generate leads. Typically, you wanna at least have 60 days worth of spend. I even recommend 90 days, but you wanna make sure that you have 60 days of spend ready to go to run your campaigns. Now, how much should that be? What is 60 days worth of ad spend? That depends on each individual agent that's out there that's gonna start running their own ads. For somebody that's been running or somebody that's been buying leads and is accustomed to spending, let's say $1,000 a week on leads, then you're gonna wanna spend about $1,000 a week on ads and to get the same kind of result and probably even better. But if you're a brand new agent, what should be the minimum amount that you want to make sure you have allocated? Guys, I don't recommend spending less than $60 a day on any campaign, right? If you're gonna run a campaign at 20 bucks a day, 30 bucks a day, it's gonna be very tough to ever get that campaign to truly perform. You're never gonna get enough leads within a 7-day period to properly work the numbers that social media leads have. And what you're gonna do is just run it for a couple of weeks, and then you're gonna say this doesn't work, and you're gonna turn it off, and you're back to buying leads or doing something else. So you must understand the expectations and how to properly run lead generation campaigns on social media. The first thing that I'll say is us, for clients, we don't ever wanna start an ad at less than 60, in most cases $80 a day. That's because step one, the ad has to go into what's called a learning phase. I have videos about that. So if you're interested in learning more about what the learning phase is, somewhere below, check out our library and you'll see videos on that. But the biggest thing, guys, is in this learning phase, the algorithm is trying to find, number one, who is the audience based on the parameters that we've set. And number two, it's trying to find where to place the ad. Is it best on feed, on reels, on stories, on third-party placements? So in that learning phase, that's what we're doing. That's what the algorithm, that's what the system is doing. You're building a lead generation campaign, right? This is gonna take time. This isn't something that's gonna happen overnight. But the result of it is once it is working properly, you control the marketing and it gets better and better over time. And as you continue arranging and doing the work necessary to maintain performance on those campaigns. So the point being, if you're gonna spend $60 to $80 a day going into the learning phase, that's a pretty good budget to allow the ad or the campaign enough time, right, and enough budget to get out of learning phase without it sitting there for too long. Sometimes if you only put 20 or 30 bucks, the ad can't get out of it. And you'll see a message on the campaign that actually says learning limited. This means it cannot get out of learning. It doesn't have enough money based on the audience and based on the budget that you're providing it, okay? So number one, make sure that you have enough money going into it in learning phase. And number two, so important, is once you get out of learning phase, you should be quickly assessing how to scale the ad. Because what happens is, if you keep yourself at this $60 a day or $80 a day, and you're not scaling, you're not gonna get enough leads to properly work the numbers. Now, what are the numbers? What should I be calculating? Well, by rule of thumb for us, when we talk about life insurance specifically, and I can give you some examples for health, but for life insurance, an agent who's working full-time should be focused on getting at least 100 leads a week. Our top performing agents that are out there are probably doing closer to 200 leads a week. And if you look at folks that are out there doing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in production, these are agents that are sometimes getting even more than 200 leads a week in order to achieve those results. So now, if we're back to square one and we're saying, okay, goal number one, I'm a full-time agent, I need to generate at least 100 leads a week. Well, off of those 100 leads, you're gonna probably have an opportunity to close, right? To convert 5, and on the high side, probably up to 12%, right? That's a pretty good gauge of where we see agents and their talent in converting leads once they get them. On the low end, 5%. You should not be converting less than 5% of all of the leads you generate. That means wrong numbers, disconnected, no pickups. Out of every lead that you generate, no matter what the cost is, you should be closing at least 5%. Now, brand new agents, if you're just learning the presentation, the sales script, the process, what e-app to use, how to do it, how to load it, how to use a quoting tool, it's probably gonna take you a little bit more, and you're not gonna go start day one and start closing at a 5% rate. That's not realistic, guys. What is realistic is that in the first week or two, maybe you're closing at a 1 or 2% closing rate. And then by the end of that month, you might be at 3 or 4. And by the following month, you might be hitting that 5%. It all depends on two things. Number one, your skill as a salesperson. And number two, how much training and support you have to quickly improve upon the skills that you might already have to sell. Maybe you don't have any skills. Maybe you need a lot of work. Maybe you have to have somebody who's training you, right? Your upline, your agency. So those are things that you have to obviously understand and try to calculate. But all in all, once an agent understands how to sell life insurance, has the tools, and is getting the leads, you should be closing about 5% on the low end. And again, top producers, folks that are high converters, are probably closing closer to about 10 to 12%. So what does that mean? That means that for every 100 leads, I'm gonna be able to close 5 to 12 deals, depending on where my skill puts me. So that means that to close 5 to 12 deals, you'll probably talk to, out of 100 people, maybe 40, somewhere in that vicinity, will be actual people that you'll have some sort of conversation with, and you'll either be able to pitch, present the whole thing where they'll say no at the end, or maybe even get a piece of the presentation out. So contacts, actual conversations that last longer than 2 or 3 minutes. So if you have 40 or 50 of those, right? 30, 40, 50, somewhere in that vicinity, and you can close between 5 and 12 deals, right? That's now you start understanding, okay, so for 100 leads, I'll speak to 30 to 50 people, and from those 30 to 50 people, I'll close between 5 and 12 people, right? That means that 40 or 50 people, I might never talk to, right? 40, 50, 60 people, I might never talk to, right? Because they don't pick up the phones, because it's wrong numbers that they provided on my lead form. Maybe they're in a state that I'm not licensed in, and I got a lead from that state. I have video on content on why that could happen. Go ahead and look below and you'll be able to find that. The point being, you have to understand the numbers, right? So for every 100 leads, I will only speak to 30 to 50 of them. And from there, I'll close 5 to 12 of them. That means for every 100 leads, I potentially might have 50 to 70 people that I never actually speak to or that don't pick up the phone. So side note here, you can either focus on the people that are not picking up the phone, or actually focus on the ones that you talk to and being the best version of a salesperson to convert those people into sales, okay? So if you're not getting 100 leads a week, right? If you don't get to that place where you're generating 100 leads a week, these numbers, the law of averages, are gonna be harder and harder to hit, right? If you're only generating 20 leads a week, well gosh, on 20 leads a week, 10% is 2 deals. You gotta be a superstar to be able to close off of 20 leads a week. It's just not enough leads. You're not giving yourself enough opportunities to hit the law of averages. Averages only work if there is a real data set, a real and a sufficient amount of data in order for those averages to hold any weight. That's why if you're trying to pull an average out of the number 5, like, you can pull it, but are you going to hit it, right? Is it realistic that you're going to work the law of averages when you have such a small number of leads that you actually have to work, right? So everything has to click. If you don't have enough leads and you're hoping to hit those numbers and those averages, everything has to click perfectly for you to be able to make that work. The more opportunities you have, the more leads you have, the higher the margin of error you will be able to have. Meaning, if you're not such a good closer, you're gonna have a better chance at actually converting a sale if you have more leads, which is obvious, right? If you have more people to speak to and you're able to get more presentations out, then you're gonna get more sales. But if you're limiting yourself to a small amount of leads, especially in the beginning, as you get better, you might not need that many leads because you're better. You know how to convert, you know how to quote, you know how to do an e-app, you know how to get people to pay you money to buy insurance. But if you're not there, you need more opportunities. You don't need less. That brings us to the example that we were talking about. And that is that many agents out there say, I'm gonna run lead generation and generate my own leads. And we start the ad campaign, and the ad goes and we put $30 on it, and a week goes by and now we have a few leads, maybe 5, maybe 10, and we're looking for like magic to happen out of these 10 leads, right? You're looking for like, well, everyone's got to pick up, and why didn't I talk to anybody, and why didn't I convert a sale, right? And so your expectations of what you're doing is incorrect, and it's going to lead you to failure. Okay, remember that. So the only way that this works is if you can scale these ads quickly. So what does that look like? Very simple, guys. If you start the ad with $60 or $80 today, and it goes through the learning phase, which, by the way, if you're running on Facebook, the learning phase, it has to generate 50 leads within a 7-day period to exit the learning phase. If it doesn't, then you're still going to be in learning. So you want to get out of learning as quickly as possible without overspending. Very important, okay? So now you went into learning phase has happened, you're out of learning. You're getting consistent leads, you have a decent price per lead. That's gonna depend on how many states you're in, how big your audience is, how many questions you're asking. That's another topic. But if you're seeing that your leads are coming in, but you're only spending $60, $80 a day, well, you need to scale quickly. You need to scale so that if you're a full-time agent, you're getting somewhere close to 100 leads a week as soon as possible. If your health, if you're doing, let's say, U65 private health, maybe that number is closer to 50 to 70 leads a week, right? So you don't need as many. ACA, you probably need 100 or more because it's a high volume, low amount per deal, right? You need a lot of deals to make a significant amount of money or to probably pay your bills. So you're gonna need more leads when it comes to ACA. Medicare, also, you gotta have a high volume of leads. Some of my top Medicare agents out there that run throughout the year are doing 200 to 300 leads a week to be able to close 1 or 2 deals a day, okay? So remember those numbers. If you don't generate that amount and you stay stagnant in this low amount of leads per week, you're gonna have a week where you do great and you have some sales and you go, man, this is awesome, I figured it out. And then the next week, you're gonna write just about 0 and you're gonna go, man, this sucks, what happened? And then the next week, you might come back and write a couple of deals and go, okay, this is working. And you're gonna stay in this cycle over and over and over again, never being able to reach a true level of performance because you just don't have enough leads. So scaling the ad, you get out of learning, you're gonna bump that thing up 15 to 20%. And if the ad doesn't go into learning by you doing that, then you should bump it up another 15 to 20%. And you're gonna bump it up every couple of days until you get to where you are generating enough leads per day to get you at least 100 per week. That's one strategy. Another strategy is just to kind of press a little bit quicker. And if you're at 80 bucks a day, maybe you go to 140. Is it gonna trigger learning? Sometimes, it might. But if you wanna get there quick and you understand that I need volume as quickly as possible, then guess what? You are gonna need to spend the money, right? I'll leave you with this last note. You're gonna find that if you are not spending enough money and you're not calculating things, you're gonna end up bleeding yourself to death over the course of the following 30 to 45 days because you're never generating enough leads to work the law of averages, but you're still spending money every single day. And you're gonna look back a month later and go, man, I spent whatever, X amount of dollars, and I'm not really any closer to where I was trying to get to. So you have to understand how much money you should be spending for every week that you're advertising that can get you the results you need to make real sustainable money in this industry, okay? I hope that brought you some clarity on how to scale ads and why you should not leave your ads at a low number every day. So if you're an insurance agent, health, final expense, IULs, annuities, Medicare, ACA, under 65, and you're trying to generate leads for yourself, then I highly, highly recommend that you follow some system or structure to scale your ads once you start seeing the performance. I hope this brought you some value today. If you think it did, share it, subscribe to the channel. I'm always trying to provide education, guys, to life insurance agents, health insurance agents that can help them generate their own leads and take control of their marketing. If you need help with any of these things, below there's a link. Feel free to book a call with us. We do exactly this for you. We offer white glove services, we offer ad management. There's several different things that we have that might be able to help you. But if you're gonna do it on your own, I hope that you succeed. I hope that this works out for you, and I try to give you as many tips and information so that you can do it. I'll see you at the next time.